I recognize this common thing that whatever they're dealing with now has a lot to do with what they have went through in their childhood.
Take out his frustrations.
Hmm.
किसी को बता नहीं पा रहा है. So then what is he doing? He is trying to harm himself. कि भाई मैं कुछ करूंगा तो मुझे कोई देखेगा आकर.
छोटी से छोटी चीज से लेके बड़े से बड़ा इशू, एवरीथिंग इज कनेक्टेड टू पैटर्न्स दैट दे हैव बिल्ट.
आजकल जो थियोरेटिकल चीजें पढ़ाते हैं स्कूल में, उसकी जगह पे देयर शुड बी एन साइकोलॉजी क्लास फ्रॉम द ग्रेड
Very
1.
beginning. Yeah. Sometimes it's hurting yourself emotionally, or overeating. Eating disorders are one of them, a way of hurting yourself. Then they're actually, self-harm, the cutting of yourself. I've seen it in children of 7th, 8th grade.
I feel storytelling is also a therapy. Because जितना मैसेज आपको कन्वे करना है, it's very easy to convey through stories. Like हम लोग मूवीज देखने क्यों जाते हैं?
Give it time. जैसे कि आपने कहा कि एक बार में कंडीशनिंग नहीं होगी, सो यू हैव टू कीप एट इट, क्योंकि एक बार में वो बिलीव कि आपका ट्रॉमा फॉर्म नहीं हुआ था, इट इज ऑल्सो रिपीटेटिव प्रोसेस. उसको ब्रेक करने के लिए भी यू हैव टू be repetitive with the healing thing. As a situation that it's like, it's a broken home, that no compatibility between the parents, they not be together in the first place. So ऐसे situation या scenario में, is it okay that they should just, for the sake of the children, stay together and continue with this, or it's better to get divorced?
It will not matter that you can run a marathon or you have a six-pack abs if you're getting anxiety attacks every week. If you're overthinking about a singular topic that is not even of importance. If you're constantly doing things to seek validation of other people and you're feeling lonely, unworthy, and undeserving throughout your life. These are all signs of mental traumas. In today's era of constant stress and information overload, mental health has become a subject of intensive importance. And almost all of us are dealing with some or the other kind of distress in our lives. Did you know कि हमारे जो भी deepest traumas होते हैं that make us behave a certain way, maybe passive aggressive silent treatment or getting really angry for no reason or being anxious most of the times, ये सारे की सारे patterns आते हैं हमारी childhood से, which is 0 to 7 years of age. If that's surprising for you, hold on. बहुत सारे बॉम्ब्स फटने वाले हैं इन द कोर्स ऑफ दिस पॉडकास्ट, क्योंकि आपकी मेंटल हेल्थ, आपके चाइल्डहुड ट्रॉमास, आपका बिहेवियर कैसे इंटरलिंक्ड है और कैसे आपकी लाइफ को इम्पैक्ट करता है हर तरीके से, ये प्रॉपर्ली एक साइकोलॉजिस्ट ही ब्रेक डाउन कर सकती है. सो वी हैव टुडे विद अस डॉक्टर शीतल. She is a master's in psychology from APJ Abdul Kalam University. She is a posh act expert and activist from Concept of Living. She is a PhD from Global Human Peace University, a certified game facilitator from Canada, NLP practitioner and coach from SN Consultancy Goa, and a lot more. She is literally a master of child psychology. और इस एपिसोड में हम प्रॉपरली ब्रेक डाउन करने वाले हैं कि हमारा बिहेवियर कहाँ से ट्रिगर होता है, हाउ कैन वी मैनेज और स्ट्रेस और डिसऑर्डर्स, डिफरेंट काइंड्स ऑफ मेंटल हेल्थ इश्यूज, लोग क्यों सेल्फ हार्म करते हैं या सुसाइडल हो जाते हैं, डिप्रेशन के क्या स्टेजेस होते हैं, कैसे इन सारी चीजों से डील करना है, हाउ आर ऑल द फैक्टर्स ऑफ योर न्यूरोलॉजिकल पैटर्न्स इंटरलिंक्ड इन साइकोलॉजी. सो इफ दिस इंटरेस्ट यू, do watch the podcast till the very end and share in the comments your learnings, your takeaways, and your emotional connects. This is episode 31 of CONVO with Ayush. Learn and enjoy.
Hello, Dr. Sheetal. Welcome to CONVO with Ayush. How are you doing?
Yes, fine, thank you.
This is one of the most awaited podcasts, at least from my side, because whenever I meet anyone, I'm constantly seeing patterns in people. And when I'm willing to talk about them, there are not enough people I can talk about them. So thank you for coming on the show, because today a lot of serious things, serious issues are going to be answered on the basis of psychology, कि जो हम करते हैं वो actually क्यों करते हैं, and how does our inner atmosphere work. So thank you so much. So, what is your intent with this podcast?
Yes, I would love to give as much answers to the question you ask because it's not only about psychology, it's also about neurolinguistic programming, which has changed my life, very frankly speaking. Because when I did psychology, I wasn't sure that am I going to take this as a career or not, because again, when you're doing counseling, when you're doing therapy, it's a very serious profession. And I have most of my life worked with children, so, that was a big question mark that am I going to work with adults as well? But when I did my neuro linguistic programming, the whole way of my thinking changed. And that's how I got into this after I did my neuro linguistic programming. So, yes, it's like a long journey, but I would be very happy to answer all the questions which you put forward to me today.
Perfect, perfect. I can relate with that actually because I've also switched from the same age group to adults, students to working
Is it
professionals.
okay?
So I also had
Okay,
that question
okay.
in my mind. But when I, dealt with people for couple of things, effective communication and then Hoponopono healing and stuff. So I recognize this common thing that whatever they're dealing with now has a lot to do with what they have went through in their childhood. And it's not at all shocking
Absolutely.
because what we
Yes,
experience, or rather a perception in 0 to 7 years of our
yes,
age, that is basically what builds a personality. So let's start with this very thing, that how our surrounding, or rather the parenting, because I believe personally parenting is one of the toughest and the most important job in the world. So that
yes.
literally creates that half the life and most of the personality of any child. So I want to hear this from a psychologist or an NLP expert's perspective, that how does and how much does parenting have an effect on any child, और किस तरीके से वो किसी भी child को shape करता
Right. So, very frankly speaking, जब parents, when they come to me, the only one line I tell to them is, whatever you do, it's going to come to your children, right? Anything and everything you are doing in front of your child is going to reflect back. So you have to be really, really mindful when you are, sitting with your child or when you are in front of your child. Because छोटे से छोटा बच्चा, even the child who's just learning to talk, they will talk in the same voice modulation as
है.
the parent
Yes,
is talking, right? Or if you are talking in a high tone, the child is also going to talk in a high tone, right? If you are talking loving words to them, they are going to reflect the same words to you. Now, there was a uh, parent who had come to me, and he was asking, like, um, how did there was a bad word the child told, to the parent, and he is coming and asking, where did Manab, he left the school, that who has taught this bad word to my child. And there was a big fight between the teachers and the parent. And then there was a time when I was called, that I had gone to that school for the session over there. And the parent is coming and telling me that, this happened and the school has not taught, then who has taught this bad word to my child? Okay. At this point of time, I just made him sit and relax. And I told him, remember the instances where you use bad words, you know? And at that point of time, he took a little longer, to come to the realization that the bad word which the child has learned is from him and not from anybody else, right? Because when you are talking bad words in front of your child, you to forget the very next minute that you have spoken that, right? It's gone and registered in the child's brain
right.
that my father told us not to say this word, right? Like many parents come and say कि मेरा बेटा तो पूरे दिन फोन में ही रहता है, कभी बुक हाथ में लेता नहीं है, why my child doesn't read book? But what do you do in front of them, right?
Correct.
You can't expect your child to read a book when you are holding your phone and sitting in front of them, right? It's not possible in a year, but it is not in any ways possible. आप उसको डांट लो, do what you want to. If you are holding a book, he or she will surely sit with a book in front of you. So that are, the practical examples which I have faced and which I've experienced also. I would say that, कि जब आप करते हो जो भी, your child is going to reflect the same thing. So like the whole foundation, आप emotional bolo, social bolo, या cognitive development bolo, it all depends on the parents. The way parents interact with the children, the values they instill, and the environment they create at home, that is influencing the child's behavior and of course the self-esteem, right? If the
Yes,
parents are fighting all the time in front of the child, then you can't expect a child to have a very good high self-esteem. It won't be there, right? They will start feeling कि पापा तो पूरे टाइम मम्मी पापा तो झगड़ा कर रहे हैं, then their confidence will never come, right? So the whole thing is the base of everything for a child is the house, the environment in the house, which where they are growing. So that's the most important thing. So this, if this is not correct, then there are a lot of issues the child faces, in the future. They will have low self-esteem, they will have anxiety, they will have difficulties in learning. Then later on in life, they will also have relationship issues, right? Because the
100%.
foundation is not strong. So
Correct.
all these things are the next steps which eventually comes.
Yes. When you're talking about this, I'm literally having flashbacks because back like 3 4 years ago when I used to teach in international school, I have seen all these patterns right in front of me. Like the
Yes.
child is right in front of me, and some parents are like so much pressurizing, and I could decode as a teacher right then. ये जो चीजों से
Right.
डील कर रहा है बच्चा, इसका कोड right
Right.
in front of me. It's because how you are treating
Right.
them. Low self esteem
Yes.
आप कह लो, या lack of decision making, or even being introverted, and then वो आके कहेंगे कि ये तो बात ही नहीं करता है. And मेरे literally like यहाँ पे अटका होता था कि I can just tell them कि this is the reason, but you cannot because you're a teacher there. So
Yes.
I'm so glad कि at this platform I can literally open up and show this mirror to a lot of parents who literally need to understand this, like right now, so that they don't ruin their children's future. Because
Yes,
a very
absolutely.
common thing that I've seen is the self-esteem issue, then anxiety in children, which is also because of social media and their own habits, but again ultimately comes from the surrounding. So now let's decode it emotion wise, because सबसे ज्यादा
Right.
increase जो problem अभी है after COVID especially is this of anxiety, depression and phone addiction,
Depression.
जिसमें कोई एज
Yes.
ग्रुप लिमिट है ही नहीं, बच्चों से लेके
Right.
टू दी senior citizens also, everyone is addicted to
Yes,
this.
absolutely.
So
Yes.
what's your take on this कि ये कहाँ से generate हो रहा है इतना level पे?
Right. See, depression or anxiety, if you say, like, again, it includes a lot of different causes, why a child is having this. Or in that case, let's talk about adults also, that why
Yeah,
an adult is having anxiety issues or why an adult is having depression. Now, since we were talking initially, you said that बचपन में we have started building our beliefs, right? जो हमें डाला गया है बचपन से ही,
yeah,
right? Yeah. So again, it's connected, right? Parents are fighting all the time in front of the child. The child is bound to go into depression, at certain point, because sab to life mein it's not easy, right? It's not a cup of cake every time. There are challenges which the child needs to handle it carefully, right? Which the child has to deal with. But if there is no support from the family, then the child is surely going to go into depression or anxiety. Right? So, all these things, Jessica, you say some traumatic experiences which they have in the childhood, which they have gone through, even that, eventually turns into anxiety and depressions. Then they don't, believe in anybody. The trust
right.
issues will be there. So when there are trust issues, when they don't have trust on anybody, then they are going to go into depression, they are going to go into anxiety. So these things needs to be very much taken care from the childhood. Again, I'm telling you, the same thing comes. I told you, that's the baseline. How you deal with your children, they are going to reflect the same. So if you tell, we have a habit. हम लोग constantly we try we use negative words all the time. Right? Supposingly कि today my day was not good. आज तो मैंने कुछ अच्छा काम ही नहीं किया. आज मेरी काम वाली नहीं आई. अगर मम्मी है तो ये बोलेगी, पापा बोलेंगे the office staff didn't turn up, the driver didn't turn up, my work didn't get over.
Hmm.
So we start, talks with negative talks, right? Even negative self talk कि अरे यार आज जल्दी उठ गया होता तो आज योगा कर लेता. I would have gone to gym, because the habits are not the way it has to be. So you have a habit of criticizing continuously, and that actually is getting registered in the child's brain, right, from the childhood. So वो एक belief बन गई है कि negativity comes out first, positivity नहीं आती है, because they have never listened positive things, right?
Exactly.
How about, like, when I go to colleges, to train children on neuro linguistic programming and all, I tell them that you make a Rose Day, it's there, it's a Sister's Day and Father's Day and Mother's Day, and what all days, they celebrate Family Day, Sibling Day, whatever day. Is when we decide that today we are not going to use any negative word, no negative thoughts, no
Wow.
negative word, only positivity out. So is there any day which is made? So every college I go, I tell them they make one day as only positive talk day. No, bullying anybody, no criticizing anybody, only good talks. Like if you do that, the way you will feel, it is totally different.
Different.
Like you can literally, it's an instant, ऐसा भी नहीं है कि थोड़े दिन बाद you will get the reflection. No, it's an instant, reflection which comes by the end of the day. So that is very important. So that can be avoided, the anxiety and the depression issues can be avoided by doing all this, which the parents needs to mindfully train themselves to do
Hmm.
it. And now luckily with all this psychology and neurolinguistic programming, and everybody has started doing it and started learning about it, it's become easier.
Yes.
Now, as you told that as a teacher you couldn't tell, now the teachers are ready to tell the parents,
Yes.
that it's you who is at the fault and you need to correct yourself, right? Because now that much we have become open, we have started talking about these things. Before it was a taboo, you can't say, you know
Yes.
किसी को complain नहीं कर सकते कि भाई आप ऐसे हो, right? But now people have started opening up because everybody is, wanting to be good, wanting to have a good life, wanting to have positivity around. So I think this all changes have happened after COVID,
Yes. You are
because
literally reading my thoughts right now. With two things, like exactly what I'm thinking. You're just saying same things. So this is
right,
actually a good shift happened last 2 3 years, and that
yes.
positive self-talk day. Oh my god, that is so beautiful. I'm going to spread it even more whenever I take sessions, wherever. That is just such
Yes,
a great thought and a great hack actually.
yes,
Now circling back to the emotions, the most common ones that I've seen, especially with
mhm,
households who are broken marriages or not a safe environment,
yes,
or even
mhm,
students who have been through any traumatic experience, any kind of abuse, sexual or otherwise. So the most common thing is trust issues, like you said,
yes,
and fear of abandonment or neglect,
yes, yes,
और constantly feeling unsafe. ये तीन चीजें हैं जो बहुत
yes,
common होती है for the children who have been through something really dark or intense
yes,
during their childhood.
hmm,
अब वो poverty भी हो सकती है, lack of facilities भी हो सकती है. There are a lot of things that people go through in
yes,
life. So how does that shape, firstly, the belief system? जैसे आपने बोला कि वो पता चलता है adulthood में आके, that I've noticed
yes,
first hand in myself and many others, and even the students, like बहुत सारे लोग बोलते थे कि I have fear of public speaking or I cannot form sentence structure. अब नॉर्मली एज अ टीचर आपको क्या लगेगा कि ओके, ये आप टेंसेस पढ़ लो या दिस, बट दैट इज नॉट द प्रॉब्लम एट ऑल. व्हेन आई डाइव डीपर, सो वन ऑफ माय स्टूडेंट्स, इट वाज the school bullying. A teacher used to bully this person that you're not speaking like this, and ये मैंने first hand देखा है, अभी भी schools में teacher ऐसे कर देते हैं, which obviously come from their own struggles, but they are reflecting it on children. So ये और भी ज़्यादा horrifying मुझे लगा. One of the reasons for because of which I left traditional teaching, एक तो वो खुद इतने सारे trauma और stress में है, and they're reflecting it on other children. So when I talk to this person कि वो school bullying की वजह से अभी she is like around 50s, and she told me that I'm having difficulty in sentence structure, this, and then we decoded this. It went back to bullying that she had in 8th standard from a teacher, and then we reprogrammed it from there. So that was like, oh my god, I have to talk about this with someone and put it out. So thank you for coming into the
Yes.
picture.
Right.
So
Right.
now getting to the serious stuff, the trust issues and abandonment issues. एक तो ये फॉर्म कैसे होते हैं, एंड एज एन एडल्ट क्योंकि हो तो चुके हैं, अब आप इसे डील कैसे करो?
Right, right. So trust and abandonment issues, it's basically, as you told, it starts from the early childhood experiences, right? Especially when the child is faced inconsistent or unreliable caregiving, right? If a child's emotional needs agar nahi पूरे हुए हैं, they are feeling neglected, they are feeling betrayal, they are feeling like that, then this thing starts happening, and as you told, again the same baseline, it's a universal. I feel that agar they have seen parents always fighting like cats and dogs, right, they will never trust anybody.
Yeah.
Right, this also applies not only to parents but any other members in the family, right? When
Good
they
point.
keep arguing, when they keep fighting. Now I'll tell you a very personal example of one of my friends. Okay, the child was going through all these issues. He could never trust anybody, and उसको ऐसे ही लगता था कि nobody cares in the house. You know what was the problem? My friend's mother-in-law had a very habit of fighting with the maids, you know. कि maids के साथ always she went on arguing that ये ठीक नहीं है, ये ठीक नहीं है, there was always this kind of, मतलब she was never satisfied with anything. Right, again that also, she also has trust issues. ही देखकर बड़ा हुआ है, कि किसी के ऊपर विश्वास मत करो, keep your wallet inside. If the maid is cleaning the house, the purse should not be out. Keep your wallet inside. Check your pockets, उसमें coins नहीं है. तो ये छोटी छोटी चीजें, मतलब we feel okay, उसमें क्या, मैंने उसको बता दिया तो, right? But a child who's just 2 या 3 years old, अगर तुम उसके सामने, if you are doing all these things, he gets that back of his brain that trust issues, होने लगते हैं कि किसी के ऊपर विश्वास नहीं करना चाहिए, because he's been seeing that continuously, right? So I had to, take so many classes with him, to sessions with him, to know that, what was the real issue. After that, he slowly came out, but he also didn't realize that this were the issues, Got it? So they also don't know that they have put this in their mind. They have put this in their brain. So when we take them into deep healing, at that time they come out with all these things. So this is how, sometimes what happens, so, I mean, you must have seen बहुत से grannies, just spat the child simply, so many times what happens, that also becomes sometimes kabhi masti mein maar liya, then it becomes serious also at many times. Right, I have seen, like 2 days back, I had gone for a movie, and the father was just hitting the child. Why? Because he was not sitting at one place in the movie. Or movie kaun sa tha? Stree 2. Because the child is going to get scared of the movie. And then why would he sit at that place?
Oh
right?
My God.
He wants to go out. And when he's moving out, he's just giving. And I said, so do that. Firstly, it's not for children. And when you child to the theater, and when the child is feeling uncomfortable, your responsibility is to take the child out. So ट्रस्ट इश्यूज वहीं से शुरू हो गए, राइट, कि पापा तो मारने ही वाले हैं, मैं कुछ
यहाँ पे हम
करूंगा।
ऑल्टरनेटिव्स क्या ले सकते हैं? बिकॉज आई हैव एक्सपीरियंस्ड इट फर्स्ट हैंड कि बच्चों को डील करना इज अ वेरी ट्रिकी थिंग. दे विल लिटरली टेस्ट योर पेशेंस एंड बीटिंग देम इज नॉट द सोल्यूशन एवर. सो व्हाट इज द ऑल्टरनेटिव वे टू डील विद इट? क्योंकि ज्यादातर पेरेंट्स को नहीं पता है कि उनको वैसे ही रेस किया गया है कि इफ यू आर नॉट डूइंग समथिंग राइट तो मार के ही समझाया गया है. सो दे सम ऑफ देम, not everyone, some are doing excellent job, so some of them don't even know कि इस ऐसे नहीं तो और कैसे डील करें. So I literally wanted to give some hacks and tips कि do this instead.
Right. So see, one thing is, it's a challenge to me for nowadays because there's so much of social media. For the mother wants to go for a party, तो iPad दे दिया बच्चों को हाथ में. And if they are going for a meeting, चलो भाई, you can play. So these things which needs to be avoided, right? You need to be mindful. The less the gadgets the kids use, the more they are going to be creative. Because giving this in their hands, they are playing the games which actually should not be played, like killing the animals, right? So you need to interact with the child. जैसे पहले हुआ करता था, we used to go out to play. Like still my son goes down. He has a particular time. He finishes his tuition. He will come home. He will leave the books, and the kids, the whole gang will be ready down to play
Yeah.
with him. Hardly he gets time to take the phone or to play on the computer or anything because he'll be down, and after
Yes.
coming up he has to do his homework, right?
Yeah, correct. Flashbacks again.
Yeah, so those things needs to be instilled in the child, if घर में मत बैठो, or if we don't have friends outside, then why don't you play with them? Give some time to the children that they feel okay, phone is not important, right? Maybe that phone timings could be managed. So again, when coming to a movie, see, to of course it's not for children, right? And
Right.
people know about this, but for them, they want to drag the child for the movie. Same with the animal movie, such a horrible movie, and talking about it, and I was shocked, very frankly speaking. I couldn't see the whole movie. It was so much vulgar. How can you show this to a child? I mean,
Right.
I can't even dream of doing that, you know so there are lots from the movies, all these things, right? You are hitting them when they are not sitting. So it's another thing what they so you need to be really mindful, about these things. Maybe earning bread and butter is important, but then, when you have given birth to a child, then bringing up a child in a proper way is also important, right?
Exactly.
So is a very famous proverb: what goes out comes back to you. Life is in a circle. So you
True.
have to make sure that it is going to come back, whatever you are giving to the child, isn't it?
Right.
So needs to be, needs parents to be aware about, because in the race of going to big jobs and getting big positions, they're forgetting that they have something which they have given birth to and they need to take care of it.
Yeah. Biggest
Yeah.
responsibility in the world.
But slowly and steadily, you need to be mindful about the things you are doing in front of your child. Read book for 10 minutes, while they are sleeping. Just go with a book and read with the child. So that way, they will feel that they are wanted, and, this is something which I should learn from my parents, reading the book at night. If you go with the phone, you sit with your child, so ja, beta, so ja. Phone आपके हाथ में है, how do you expect the child to sleep,
Right.
right? They won't. So we have one of my friend is doing this special and bedtime stories for children. So if you want to hear a story, you just have to tell them, and they will on the Zoom they will tell the story.
Oh,
So why
wow.
you have to hire a teacher when you yourself can tell a story to your child, right?
Nice.
So that's the
Wonderful.
thing.
Taking notes for future. Brilliant. Amazing. Okay. So another thing that happens with people, not the correct childhood or not the correct guidance, rather, uh,
Yes.
consecutive to trust issues and abandonment issues, they face a lot of struggles in relationships as an adult. And I, again, experienced it firsthand, seen it firsthand. So how do you deal with that? Because at that level, up to काफी सारे patterns or beliefs already बन चुके हैं. So one way already we know that you have to reprogram your subconscious mind, जिसके लिए हम सारी techniques use कर रहे हैं, NLP and Hoponopono and EFT etc.
Yes.
But consciously also you have to make a lot of efforts.
Yes.
So what would you suggest to people who are struggling in relationships? Because इस पर्टिकुलर चीज के लिए डेफिनेटली योर चाइल्डहुड पैटर्न्स आर रिस्पॉन्सिबल.
Right. So see, again, when it comes to struggling with relationships, so that is already they have seen it somewhere in the childhood, right? They have been एक belief बन गया उनके mind में, that ये करने से मेरे मम्मी, I have seen parents, parents नहीं friends कि मेरे मम्मी पापा भी बहुत झगड़ा करते थे, you know.
या
So that thing is actually affecting the as a person, even after you grow up as a child, तो affect करता ही है. But person, when you grow up and when you are in a relationship, this thing happens, क्योंकि तुम्हारे mind में वो अभी भी है, अभी भी it has got registered, कि मेरी मम्मी झगड़ा करते थे, वो भी बहुत आर्ग्यू करते थे, ये सब चीजें पे, so मैं उनकी गया हूँ. We say that I'm with my father, I'm with my mother, right? So how? Because this they have seen it that time, the controlling behavior. Like if
hmm.
anyone is trying to, take control over, like sometimes the mother wants to, show controlling behavior. Sometimes the father is doing that. So they are watching, right? So when the husband and wife fights, it is most of the time reflection, of the parent who has behaved in
Yes.
the controlled manner. कि मेरे पापा कंट्रोल करते थे तो मैं क्यों नहीं कर सकता हूँ अपनी वाइफ को कंट्रोल, राइट? इट्स अदर वे
So
अराउंड. आजकल गर्ल्स कंट्रोल कर
I have seen that another case study also with one of my clients, and they
रहे
are able to recognize also that these patterns are coming from our parents, but they don't know how to control or change them. So, what would
yes,
you suggest for that? Because changing these patterns is the real challenge.
yes. So again, you have to rewire your mind, your brain, right?
Completely.
You have to come out of it. So again, here we use the NLP techniques. We have swish pattern. I'm sure you will be knowing about all the patterns and the techniques what we do, right? Then erasing your past history and
Right.
all there, right? Then your core beliefs, how to change all that. And again, here we use lot of Hoponopono techniques also, right? The prayer, which is the universal 4 lines, which we are saying that has given lot of positive results, to many
Yes.
people who are seriously following it. So yes, for healing and to change all these issues, the fights and the relationship struggles, I use Ho'oponopono more than anything else. So,
Awesome.
and it's magical, very
It
truly
is.
speaking, it is
Yeah.
magical. So,
Yeah.
it's difficult also, because to saying 108 times when you say the 4 lines, please forgive me, I'm sorry, I love you, thank you. It takes 10.5 minutes, less than 10 minutes, saying it
Yes.
108 times, right? And that is usually preferred to say it 108 times.
Yeah.
If you cannot do it also, how much ever times you can do it. But 108 times, apni mala jo hai, 108 times,
Yeah.
108 hai. So that's
Bees.
why we do it 108 times. And it is giving magical results. And not only to the opposite person with whom we are struggling in the relation, but also it
Yourself
suits
first.
us, right?
Yes.
And that is something which is also needed because tali ek haath se nahi bajti. I always tell this to people, that it's not always one person who's at fault all the time. Yes, something is also with you which is creating the mess. So you need to be really, really mindful that what is going wrong, right? So
Definitely.
The best thing, is like I do. I every day write the things what happened throughout the day. I write it at night. So journaling,
Hmm.
that's very important because it will reflect what wrong you have done. Immediately you will realize, that this is the wrong thing I did. So
Right.
journaling is very, very important. And I think I teach all my little ones also, that please write
Perfect.
whatever you can. If you know to write, just write down. What did you do in the school? What did the teacher tell you? What did you talk with your friends? What did mama tell you? You know, they can't write how we can write, but at least this way they can start writing.
Hmm. And it's a great habit to build also.
Yes, and sentences, that way
Yeah.
learn. And once they start reflecting, they will realize, okay, I'm not studying the way I should study.
Hmm.
Those are the middle-aged children, the teenagers who start realizing when they start writing. कि okay, I could have done this better. अगर आज झगड़ा करके आया है क्लास में किसी के साथ तो how would it got avoided? We will have a thought on that कि शायद मैं avoid कर सकता था. Just see,
Perfect.
once you do some, you forget about it. Write about it, your mind will start working. Okay, I could have done it better.
Right.
You know. So that's something I would suggest who are having this relationships issues that you sit and write. Start journaling, and pause the healing practices, the meditation.
Perfect. Perfect. So, people, actionable steps for you. I can personally vouch for these techniques because my life 360-degree changed after I started this. And my friends, my family, they are the first time who have seen the results, the changes in me. A lot of anger issues resolved, physical issues, emotional issues, a lot of things. So, definitely, if you have not tried Hoponopono, NLP, EFT, and journaling. Specifically, if you are dealing with any kind of trauma, emotional imbalance, depression, anxiety, or PTSD, even, these techniques are miraculous and will 100% work if you do it under proper guidance and consistently. So, disclaimer given, please do try it, and it can literally change your entire life for sure. So, on that note, thank you so much for bringing this up and it's going really amazing. So, like I told you, this was literally a bucket list that I want to put out a podcast like this because it's genuinely gonna change the way people see things and their patterns and habits. So, we'll come to habits in a while, but gonna take it up a notch in this next question. That another thing that I saw during my tenure as a teacher was that many people are even children, and this applies again to everyone, children, adults alike, are going with some or the other kind of self harm. Now, when I say self harm, is not always about hurting yourself physically. Sometimes it's hurting yourself emotionally or overeating. Then many disorders, eating disorders are one of them, a way of hurting yourself. Then they're actually self harm, the cutting of yourself. I've seen it in children of 7th 8th grade. So firstly, again, a taboo topic, so I want to dive deeper into this कि ऐसा क्या है that pushes people to that level to harm yourself. क्या emotions होते हैं behind this जिसकी वजह से people go for self harm. Then we'll come to the next part of it.
Right. So see, when it comes to again harming oneself, so it's not at one time. It's not a one-time thing. कि आज मन किया और आज मैंने hurt कर दिया अपने आप को,
Mm.
right? It's a process, ongoing process in their mind, which has brought them to this. So it's a point where they reach the saturation, right? So something like a very simple example I would give you is somebody who's getting ignored all the time, right?
Right.
Now, it's a joint family. I'm just giving you it's just an
हाँ.
imaginary thing I'm giving you, okay? It's not with somebody or anybody here. So, एक joint family है, okay? There are 3 4 daughter-in-laws in the family. 3 4 बच्चे हैं और there are males and females in the. It's a huge family. Now that one person, एक बच्चा जिसको प्रॉब्लम है कि वो ठीक से पढ़ नहीं पा रहा है, यू नो, जो एक्स्ट्रा क्यूरिकुलर्स में पार्टिसिपेट नहीं कर पा रहा है, ही इज ट्राइंग हार्ड, but the efforts are going in vain. He's not able to cope up with the studies, or he's not able to cope up with the competitions in the school. Peer pressure nahi kar pa raha hai handle. So now the child is growing in that environment where बहुत सारे बच्चे हैं, बहुत सारे लोग हैं, right? And this child is getting ignored.
Hmm.
Now supposedly कुछ दे दिया उसको सर्व करने के लिए, तो उसने गिरा दिया पहली बार, राइट? तो नेक्स्ट टाइम नहीं देगी मम्मी उसको सर्व करने, तू तो गिरा देता है ना, यू नो,
Hmm.
राइट? सो ही इज इग्नोर्ड कंटिन्यूअसली, राइट?
And put down to self-esteem भी.
उसका सेल्फ एस्टीम इज गेटिंग क्रश्ड एवरी टाइम व्हेन, बिकॉज एक चीज नहीं कर पाया तो हमने उसको उसको बैच लगा दिया कि ये तो कुछ कर ही नहीं पाता है, यू नो। हमेशा वी स्टिल हियर पीपल टेलिंग दैट, यू नो, कि
Yeah.
ये ही नहीं पाती है, यू नो, ये तो हमेशा ऐसी ही करती है, हमेशा गिरा देती है, या एक ही बार गिराया होगा, बट
हाँ, अब अगर वो नहीं भी होना है तो भी इट विल हैपन, क्योंकि उसके
it will
दिमाग में.
happen because you have been tagged that way, right? So
करेक्ट.
as they grow up, you know, they are facing this ignoring issues, you know. Again, here also trust comes in, right? उसको trust
हम्म.
नहीं किसी के ऊपर, because he has been continuously ignored. Now schools में problem है, right? अभी 10th में आया, right? 10th में he is not able to gain good marks, he is not able to study, वो किसी को बता नहीं पा रहा है, right? The parents are busy with their work, and it's a joint family, right? तो eventually फिर बच्चा करेगा क्या? What will he do? Right? Then he starts harming his own self,
To
right?
get attention.
To attention, or to take out his frustrations.
हम्म.
किसी को बता नहीं पा रहा है. So then what is he doing? He is trying to harm himself. कि भाई मैं कुछ करूंगा तो मुझे कोई देखेगा आकर. When these things go extreme, when they feel insulted, insult हो जाता है किसी का, you know, or this all rape issues or something like that, you know, happens.
हम्म.
If the people are not able to talk, you know, come out and talk, then they want to end their life. That's a totally different issues. But here again, trying to harm themselves, you know. And sometimes, you know, they have done it not to मरने के लिए नहीं कर रहे होते हैं, सिर्फ
एग्जैक्टली.
harm करने के लिए कर रहे होते हैं, but they don't know what is the result it's going to be,
हम्म.
right? इसका रिजल्ट क्या आने वाला है? अब किसी ने हाथ काट दिया उसका, तो उसको पता नहीं है कि वो कितनी जल्दी मरने वाला है, right?
राइट.
He was just harming. So sometimes it's not, it's just to grab the attention they are doing that. Talk about small kids, यार. अगर they will try and drop something, अगर
या.
हाथ हाथ है तो जानबूझ के गिराएंगे.
Another alternative approach is that when they feel so neglected that they start feeling worthless, that nobody needs or wants them. Another
मुझे
reason for it, because there was a boy in my class, he did this one time, and I like literally that time I didn't stop myself. I literally personally took him and talked to him about this, that what is going on, what. So I got this, that I get so angry. I know this is wrong and I know I shouldn't be doing this, but at that point of time, I just don't know what happens, and just physically hurting myself takes my mind off the emotional hurt. So
right.
that is one of the reason that I decoded that maybe this. So the only thing is, if people are just kinder to people dealing with this and just attentive, that can literally save this. Am I right? Am I wrong? What else can we do?
Yes, yes. Am I right? Am I right? You are right. So that's absolutely correct, right? That if you give little attention, you know, so बच्चा जब पापा जब दूसरा बच्चा आता है, you know, when the sibling is born, you must have experienced, you know, the hatred they have towards the sibling, the
Hmm.
younger sibling. I remember my nephew. He was, I think, 6 when my sister gave birth to another baby boy in US. Okay, and I was gone there at the time. And one day, my nephew took him in his hand and just turned like a zip around 3, 4 turns, And we just ran and we said, what were you doing? Like, what are you trying to do? So it was pure jealousy. Okay,
Hmm.
you are giving attention to him and you are not giving attention to me. So then he said I was just playing, you know. It's not the way. He was just taking out his anger.
Right.
So again, it just happens when the another child is there, the elder child will always feel neglected. So
Yes.
you have to balance there, right? हम लोग पूछते हैं ना बच्चों को कि तुम्हें मम्मी अच्छे लगते हैं या पापा अच्छे लगते हैं. That's a very wrong question actually. You should never ask the child that way.
Yeah.
See, sometimes the parents also. अच्छा लगता है या बड़ी अच्छी लगती है या छोटा, who is your favorite child, right? So you cannot compare both of your children at any point, right? So you need to have that balance because from there again, harming chances that they are going to harm themselves to gain attention, right? So this all
Right.
things happen because this it goes to extreme cases in most of the cases when they are harming themselves. Again, usually parents learn to balance it. They give the one parent will give attention to one child while the other is taken care. So usually it doesn't happen in few cases where these things have happened.
Right. Oh my God. So many dots are connecting right now. Loving it. Because this is why I approached you in the first place, because I needed the psychological version of it. People need to know why they are doing or why people does things a certain way. Now, छोटी से छोटी चीज से लेके बड़े से बड़ा issue, everything is connected to patterns that they have built. So this also becomes one of them. And again, wow, this is amazing. So another angle, like you said, especially right now, a lot of child abuse and sexual abuse is going on. So I want to be very direct with this, breaking down after whatever is happened at whatever level. अब क्योंकि यहाँ पे डिफरेंस बहुत ज्यादा नहीं आप बता सकते कि चाहे कोई छोटा सा इंसिडेंट हुआ है या इट्स टू द एक्सटेंट ऑफ रेप, बट इट स्टिल इम्पैक्ट्स somehow in the similar spectrum to the person. So कुछ common ऐसे, because you must have seen a lot of cases of all kinds. तो क्या
Yes,
impact होता है post these incidents on whether it is child or even for an adult?
yes. So see, there are lot of different ways, people take this. मतलब अगर जब child के साथ होता है तो child doesn't even know what is right and what is wrong,
Exactly, which is
right?
worse.
Yeah, that's very worse because they don't know what is happening or what has happened. But as they grow up, you know, they will learn कि ये मेरे साथ जो हुआ था that was not correct, because अगर पेरेंट्स को पता चलता है तो ठीक है, वरना there are cases where parents don't even know that
Hmm.
something like that can happen to their children.
Right. And even worse cases when they are told but they disregard it.
Yes, yes, yes. हाँ, ऐसा होता है because see, if somebody from the family is doing that, then they don't want to, disclose it, right?
Right.
Because again, एक ही family में है. Lot of cases are happening nowadays. You
Hmm.
can't even think कि ऐसा कोई कर भी सकता है.
Yeah.
But
In
you
fact,
need to
according to
be
the stats, it's
very
mostly the person nearer, either in the neighborhood or in the family itself,
in the
more than
family.
the strangers.
Yes, yes, yes. So that's also that point, you need to be very strong. The parents need to be very strong that, this is something with my children, it is happening, my child, it is happening. So they have to cut it at that point, that they have to either take the child away from that particular person or, they need to really sit and talk with that person that what you are doing is not correct, right? But again, trust issues to आ ही गए हैं because what thing was going on was not right,
Exact.
right? So that's one thing that, and again, a lot of therapies we do, we try to erase the past history when these things happen. Again, meditation works a lot because the trauma what they have gone through, it needs to, of course, change in the environment is the first thing. They need to be taken away from where it had happened,
Hmm.
right? And then, they have to go through this meditation where, they have to heal themselves. So with elders, this is possible, but with younger children, this is not possible. So they need to be, continuously involved in the activities what they like अगर बच्चा को ड्राइंग अच्छा लगता है या डांसिंग अच्छा लगता है, so these are the therapies basically, dance
Hmm.
therapy, art therapy, so through this therapies we can overcome what trauma they have gone through. So all these different therapies, even in NLPs, we use this therapy. Even in psychology, we use all these therapies. And nowadays, the psychologists and they are doing so much of research work that every day some new therapy is out. So
Yeah, read my
still in
mind
my
again.
college group, my master's group, I'm still there. So, every 15 days the new therapy sir will introduce and then he will go on telling that, why don't you join? Why don't you join? I said, sir, my whole brain will get washed if I, every 15 days, if I'm going to add on one therapy at a time. The like continuous researches are going on, to deal, how to deal in a better way with
Yeah,
problem. I mean, nowadays problems are also not the traditional problems. It has come out with so many kind of new things, right? People are
yeah,
facing. So yes, all these things do help. These therapies do help, and in the end, you have to heal yourself when you go through all this. So the best technique is to heal the person by giving them
yeah,
meditation, by giving all these therapies. And again, whatever therapy, if they are very good with the child, we do this play therapy, you know, through games and all, we overcome them from all this till they forget. So this needs to be repetitive, ek baar mein nahi hoga,
hmm.
right? Conditioning needs to be done continuously so that,
Very important.
okay. So once in a month मिल लो या 15 दिन में एक बार मिल लो. So you keep conditioning the child or the adult who has gone through this trauma, right? Because again, if the adult is not able to come out of it, the last thing he would do is try to kill, he or she will try to kill, right?
Hmm.
Suicide करने की try करेगा. So that you have to break at that point that they don't come to that level.
Yes, correct. Wow, beautifully put. Exactly what I needed or wanted to put out there. Perfect. So now, yeah, and also the thing you said about many kinds of therapy. So there are like sound healing and music therapy and sujok and acupuncture. There are like tons of them available now और अभी awareness भी है. So अगर आपको लग रहा है कि this is not working, that's not, give it time. जैसे कि आपने कहा कि एक बार में conditioning नहीं होगी. So you
Right.
have to keep at it क्योंकि एक बार में वो belief कि आपका trauma form नहीं हुआ था. It is also a repetitive process. उसको break करने के लिए भी you have to be repetitive with the healing thing.
Yes.
So keep at it, and there are lots of options. Choose yours, but do not just leave it in between. Because first few weeks or months didn't work the way you expected it to. So especially for the people who are going through something, stay at it.
Yes.
Okay, so now we can dive deeper into the patterns and habits, because again another spectrum as a psychologist, because you know NLP, Hoponopono, and psychology. So I can talk to you about this very directly, and
Right.
you will put it amazingly like you have so far. So
Right.
one thing is repetitive patterns in generations. That another thing that I have noticed, and it intrigues me a lot. That one example, if I give, that suppose the couple, the parent has issues. It's a toxic relationship basically, even after marriage. So even years after marriage, let's say they have a child or two of children, and then they have separated or divorced. Firstly, I want you ki agar as a situation that it's like, it's a broken home, that no compatibility between the parents, they not be together in the first place. So ऐसे situation या scenario में, is it okay that they should just for the sake of the children stay together and continue with this, or it's better to get divorced? I know the answer, but I want you to say it.
No, I'm going to play both the ways. So you will get the correct answer. What you
Okay.
expected from me. So again, here depends on, the decisions the parents choose to do, right? Because I have seen families में जहाँ पर सिर्फ बच्चों के खातिर they are going on, and I have seen a couple who has stayed for the sake of parents, for the sake of children, and for the sake of their parents too, because they stayed in the joint family. Okay, eventually, later in life, they forget all their misunderstandings and they want to gel together. You know, so there is everything. Time heals, right? That's a very famous saying that agar thoda time de do, you know. So I wouldn't say that just leave everything, break everything and go off, right? There is always a second chance. So I would say give a second chance. That's my personal way of saying it.
Beautiful.
There are extreme cases, where they need to split because अगर होता ही नहीं है, and the child is facing the trauma, right? When it is coming to the child, जब बच्चे के सामने सब हो रहा है, and there is no way that, then again give time. Divorce करो नहीं करो, it doesn't matter, right? Just split for a while and see how your life is taking you along,
Hmm.
right? Because see, I very frankly believe that डिवोर्स करो नहीं करो, जब प्यार ही नहीं है तो डिवोर्स करे ना करने से व्हाट इज गोइंग टू हैपन, राइट? So it's not a question of divorcing. See, that all are legal terms. Let's not jump into legal things because that's you will need a lawyer to sit with.
Right.
Not talking about legal. Let's talk about the emotions and the feelings, right? More. So here you need to give a time, split for, I think that's what most of the divorce cases may, I think the judge gives that कि 6
Yeah,
महीना, it's your trial period, you know,
correct.
stay separately and see how it is going. Is it working,
Hmm.
right? And then if it is really not working, then you can think of splitting, right?
That's a
Otherwise,
good.
yeah, otherwise there are most of the cases they will again come together. Most of the cases I have seen that they separate for some time, they take their own time to rewire themselves and, experience the life without the husband or without the wife. But eventually they come together because they feel
Hmm.
that. Okay. And so I remember as a storyteller, I remember this one story which we do it with children. It's for children though, but we can apply here as well. That there is a duck who wanted to be something else. Okay, so he always called the wishing magician that please come and make me a will. So he makes him a will. He's after a few days he feels that okay, I don't want to be a whale. This is a waste of time, and I'm in the big sea. And पहले उसको था कि वो छोटे से pond में रह रहा है, तो मेरा छोटा सा घर है और मेरी छोटे छोटे friends हैं, कोई बड़ा तो है नहीं. So I'm feeling bored. So make me a whale to go into the big sea. So finally he went to the big sea और वहाँ पे nobody was his friend because everybody is scared of whale. So he बता दिया magician, why did you make me a whale? Now make me a kite. I want to fly in the sky. So finally, he flies in the sky and he enjoys the freedom and everything. And one day he gets cut and he gets stuck in a church stick. So he gets hurt. Then again, he calls the wishing magician that, why did you make me a kite? And I didn't want to be a kite. And then the wishing magician says, I'm fed up of you changing every time. I'm leaving my job. So finally, tell me what you want to be. Then finally, he says, I want to be the duck and put me in the pond again. So with all the experiences, he wants to be what he was originally, the duck. So I can just apply. So we teach children this that what you are unique. Never try to compare yourself with others and never, want to be. They always say, no, ये तो कितना अच्छा करता है. मैं इसके साथ शायद even we say,
Hmm.
right? You dance so well. If I could dance like you, right? We others. When we see others, we want to be like that. But it's not true. You are what you are, and God has made you in your unique way. So this can be applied here also,
Wow.
that when it is coming to husband and wife, do whatever you want to, but eventually you are going to be together, right?
Wow. For one moment. Amazing. So again, putting it into process is it should be a two-way effort when both are ready to take the initiatives. Then try, like you said, multiple, ways or efforts, rewire yourself. Then if it works together, I would suggest that focus should be the child. If you have a child, what is better for the child? If you're together, you can make the effort and make it better as a home for the child. Then you should stay together. Otherwise, staying happy and separate is a better choice if you are not able to put the effort and not gelling and like literally not made for each other kind of stuff. Then at least the child would not have the trauma that you are facing. So you would not inflict on them. So
Right.
perfectly, we have both the scenarios now.
I have this one of my friends, whose mother was a divorcee, and she was our neighbors. So my mother used to tell, how will she find, good boy? She's a child of a divorcee, you know. So at that time, I used to get a lot puzzled that why can't a girl find a good boy if, where does it connect, you know? So all these things, of course, our parents have put in our brains, right? कि ऐसा नहीं हो सकता, ऐसे कैसे हो सकता है, right? So those times, divorce was a taboo. But nowadays, people have started understanding and started opening up, and started understanding that what is better for them, right?
Awesome. I want to ask you, are you a mind reader? Because you're literally predicting my all next questions. This was exactly what I was about to ask, like the pattern and like generational pattern that I was talking about. That again, I have seen this common thing that, like I told you, that suppose a couple who was divorced, say, and the child has seen all the fights and struggles, and then eventually they separated or divorced. Then ideally, what we will think that the child knows that okay, these are the things that go wrong, so I will not do that. But more often, very frequently, it happens that when you see that the parents are divorced or separated or have had relationship issues, the child goes through the same thing. And this sometimes we also call, ancestral trauma or something. But these are also related to the patterns because even though consciously we know that these are the things that we should not be doing, specifically in relationship or in general also, but subconsciously the pattern and the habits are already formed. So even when you don't know, you actually repeat the same mistakes of your parent. And this I've seen in so many cases. So as from a view of a psychologist, how does that work and why are these patterns so, stubborn that you just can't lose them? And how do we do that eventually?
So you have to delete that patterns, right? You have to, जैसे पेंसिल से लिखा हुआ है रबर से, आजकल तो पेन्स भी में रबर आने लगा है, right? So you have to erase those patterns,
Hmm.
right? Again, through therapy, we do this. And I have, since I told a story, I'm again telling you, when we have this behavioral issues, with children especially, we put them across with stories, you know कि जब स्टोरीज के साथ आप लेते हो तो आई फील स्टोरी टेलिंग इज ऑल्सो अ थेरेपी, बिकॉज जितना मैसेज आपको कन्वे करना है, इट्स वेरी इजी टू कन्वे थ्रू स्टोरीज। लाइक हम लोग मूवीज देखने क्यों जाते हैं,
Hmm.
राइट? बुक आई हुई है, सेम मूवी की बुक भी है, बट वी प्रेफर गोइंग टू सी द मूवी, right? Because it's all in the story form. It's
Hmm.
given in a story form, right?
Right.
So that way, it's easier to break the patterns. But again, आपको बहुत mindful रहना है कि you have to be following through that process. कि when somebody is, अगर साइकोलॉजिस्ट आपके साथ बैठा हुआ है और अगर वो पैटर्न्स आपकी इरेज करने की ट्राई कर रहा है, तो you have to be very mindful that you follow it, right? जो बिलीफ सिस्टम जो बंधी हुई है आपके माइंड में since so many years, that my parents did like this, so I'm also going to be like that. So that needs to be changed. That belief system needs to be changed, right? So all these cognitive behavioral therapy is there. So we do all these therapies, with people, so that they break that, they erase those patterns which are, stuck in their mind. So basically, layman's language, we are rewiring their whole mind, right? So that they don't repeat. That cycle has to break. If the
Hmm.
cycle breaks, then they will come out of it. They have to understand that wo jo hua tha, it wasn't right. and I'm not going to repeat the same thing, right? But yes, in olden days it used to be that it used to be the same thing, but now again everything is changing. Now people have started realizing कि मेरे मम्मी के पापा के साथ ये हुआ था तो मुझे सेम रिपीट नहीं करना है. मैं ये ट्रॉमा से पास हुआ हूँ तो मेरे बच्चों को मुझे ये ट्रॉमा नहीं देना है, राइट?
Exactly.
दे स्टार्टेड अंडरस्टैंडिंग. अनकॉन्शियसली हम लोग कर लेते थे, but now the realization that yes, that was wrong and I don't need to repeat the same thing, it has come with many people, not all the people, but with many people. So, the more you tell about these things to people, and जैसे कि why everybody wants to, self improvement क्यों करना है सबको? Because they want to break the pattern.
Exactly.
सो हम लोग जो बोलते हैं, हम लोग रील बनाते हैं, हम advertisement, तो हम लोग हमारी एडवर्टाइजमेंट तो कर ही रहे हैं, हम सामने वालों को भी उसमें से फायदा हो रहा है, राइट?
Yeah.
इट्स जस्ट वी आर gaining from it, even they are eventually taking advantage of what we are talking about, right? And they need to sometimes, we don't realize that ये चीज हमको पता है, कभी कभी पता होती है, but when somebody tells us, we realize that
Ah,
this could have been done, ये ऐसे हो सकता था, right?
exactly.
So when बहुत सारे पहले बोलते थे, I have heard many of them, oh, I know this यार, why I have to do it again, right? But you know it, but it has got jumbled up in your brain.
Ah,
Bring back, you need to know it again, you need to listen again, right? Then that positive cycle will start. Otherwise, it will keep turning in that negative cycle only all the time. So it's good to hear to people who are talking, about self improvement, about how to relationships के बारे में जो लोग बातें करते हैं, तो listen to them. It's there's no harm in listening to them, right? Because sometimes the same thing what they are telling, you must be looking for that thing, right?
exactly. Yeah.
So it's something which people should learn, that ठीक है सुनो. आजकल even the movies have now started. I remember the Shah Rukh Khan and Alia Bhatt movie.
Dears in
So
the.
yeah, Dear Zindagi, yes. So how beautifully they explain things,
Ah,
So again, when you see that movie, you get the positive in your body. Oh my God, yes, we can do these things, and the way he treats her, takes sitting at one place, बीच लेके जाता है और अलग
hmm.
अलग जगह पे. So something to learn from that movie.
Yeah.
कि we can, मतलब कि मैंने practice में कर सकते हैं, really this can be done, was not there in my mind. When I saw that movie, I realized that okay, this is the way. Sometimes you need the change of pace also.
Yes.
ऑफिस में एक ही जगह पे बैठ के काम करो, उसकी जगह कहीं और जगह पे बैठ के काम करने को मिले, तो यू आर सो हैप्पी, राइट? कि वाओ,
Correct.
आई गॉट अ चेंज, और योर माइंड वर्क्स बेटर देन इट यूज्ड टू, right? So
100%.
the things are required, and nowadays movies are showing a lot, about that. Even I don't remember, there's one Tamil movie about a psychologist. Even in that, how a psychologist can also go into a depression. Not
Yes.
literally depression, but even they have their own
One
problems in
issue.
life.
Correct.
So they also need a mentor who can, keep them back on the track. So
Yeah. Perfect. I think I'm remembering this is a very good point actually that you put that every therapist also, in fact, every good therapist knows that they also need a therapist.
yes,
So
absolutely.
this is like so bang on that obviously because we all are humans and everyone is dealing with their own set of unique issues. So the only reason that someone is a psychologist or a therapist or a healer as we call it does not mean that they don't have their own set of issues or traumas, but they are constantly working on it as well. That's the difference, that they can break it down and they are more, you can say, self-aware a little bit more, and anyone can get to that stage. So that is the process that needs to be followed actually. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Convo with Ash till the very end. I'm eternally grateful to you. I hope कि आपको मजा आया होगा और बहुत सारे valuable insights भी मिले होंगे. So what are you waiting for? Share them in the comments ताकि बाकी लोग भी उसका फायदा उठा सके. And also let me know कि कौन से ऐसे topics हैं that you want me to cover in my future episodes, and I will bring it to you. Do not forget to share this episode with your friends and dear ones ताकि awareness फैलाई जा सके. Speaking of awareness, if you want to get connected with our amazing guests of today, check out the description and you can get connected with them. Check out my profiles too ताकि आप मुझसे one-on-one connection build कर सके. Also, subscribe to the channel, obviously, because then you will get notified for the future episodes and amazing content of personal development, effective communication, and Hoponopono and EFT healing. So keep watching amazing content and amazing episodes on my channel, Evolve with Ayushi. Let's grow and evolve together. Until next episode of CONVO with Ayush, stay tuned and I will bring you amazing stuff as soon and as consistently as I can. Keep showing your love and support because that means the world to me. Until next time, love, namaste.